Welcome to another live taping of the Confidence Restored podcast. I am your host, Tomeria Jordan, and today I am titling this show Masterclass. So, you might be wondering, what is she going to talk about today? So, if this is your first time tuning in, you are in for a treat. This show is all about helping others get mentally fit through stories of faith, inspiration, and transformation. I like to call it being about that fit life. And if you are returning, thank you so much for supporting this show. Without you, we wouldn't be here every week when we are able to host the show. We typically host shows every 2 weeks. So tonight is no different. So the reason that I call this masterclass is because when you think about what a masterclass is, it's typically a class that's given to students in a certain discipline by someone who is experienced in that area. When we think about life, all of us are essentially in a master class by the master. So this is a bit of a play on words because when I thought about it this morning, and I'll share how this came about, but literally we are all gaining expertise in this thing called life. We are all gaining experiences. We are all developing skills. And those skills, those experiences, all of those things impact how we operate and how we show up in the world every day. So, just because it's something that we are experienced in, it doesn't mean that's always going to be our experience. So, I thought about this morning when I woke up. I was laying next to my daughter and I said, I wake up next to hope every day. I wake up with hope every day. And it is so true. My daughter's name means hope. And literally, when I think about how I approach life and how I go through it, I'm always hopeful. So, regardless of what my expertise or my experience in life has shown me, is that every day is another day, it's a fresh start. And so, the reason that I titled this class or this show Master Class is because this morning on the way to work, I was driving to drop my daughter off at daycare, and I ended up in quite a bit of traffic. And I believe they had an accident on the main highway today. So traffic in the city was a little heavy. And typically, I will get in the right lane. And that's because I know that there is a green arrow. And then, of course, there's a green light where you yield to oncoming traffic. But I said, I'm not going to get in that lane because I saw a truck in that lane. And typically, when there's a truck, they tend to turn a little bit slower and they may hold up traffic in the right hand lane. That was based on my experience. So, even though master classes are typically for the arts, maybe music, dance, theater. It can literally be about any discipline. And in this case, it's the discipline of life, life lessons. And so for me, I thought this morning, I said, how many of us have experiences where we allow those experiences or our expertise in those experiences define how we look at life and what we believe? And so the reason I brought up hope earlier is that even though I've sometimes had experiences that may not necessarily always be pleasant, I have an opportunity every day to wake up with a new attitude, a new belief, hoping that this day might be better than the day before. And I have a lot of great experiences as well. And I'm grateful for those. They teach me to continue to hope for something, to hope in something. And so, again, no matter what I face, I find that that hope is really what keeps me going. And also, the reason I also titled it Master Class is when we think about our master, we think about the fact that we can, if we do believe, in God, and we believe that He sent His Son to die on the cross for us, that we can hope in the gift of eternal life, and that we can hope in that no matter what we may face in this life, that we can still come out on top, no matter what it looks like. So, another example of this is I was on TikTok, and you all know TikTok is quite funny. I like it. So I was watching TikTok, and this sound I heard, but I'll share the sound, and actually I'll then explain why I thought this was so hilarious. And I'll share the sound now. That's on Amazon? Where you get that? So the young lady says, that's on Amazon? Where you get that? As you all heard. Now, I saw this guy post on there. He said, when you find a woman who doesn't entertain other men. And then I started to think, well, what about when you find a man who doesn't entertain other women? And so if we were to listen to or believe what experience may have taught some of us, we may think that there are no faithful men left, there are no faithful women left. But the truth is that if we believe that, then that is probably what we may end up receiving. Instead, not being deceived into thinking that you cannot meet someone who is faithful, whether that's a man or a woman. So, not falling victim to what our experiences have taught us. Um, and it's not uh, being naive, because, yes, we do recognize that experiences exist for a reason, that experience is a teacher, that we do start to gain expertise in particular areas. But if we trust in what the word says, even those situations that may not feel comfortable, may not feel good, may not look good, that we can still come out on top. And when I tell you, I can see how God has been coming through for me in a major way. I wanted to encourage someone else that may be going through a tough season. And even if you aren't going through a tough season, to just continue to keep hope alive. Because when we hope in something, we continue to believe. So our expertise teaches us that, the sun rises, the sun sets, the moon rises, and the moon goes down. But nonetheless, every day that we wake up, it's a blessing. And I heard another sermon by Pastor T.D. Jakes, and it was called The Loyalty of God. Now, ironically, this sermon just popped up on my screen after listening to a different sermon, but it was from 2020, from September 2020. And I was like, well, that's odd. So I didn't quite quote TD Jakes, but what he did mention, it made this particular quote come to mind, which is, you cannot weigh the loyalty of God against the feelings of man. God has not abandoned you. And I thought that was a powerful statement, because when we think about life, we think about our experiences, some good, some bad. It may make us feel like we don't have a place to go, or it might make us feel like, I will never find that person who will treat me right. I will never get the job of my dreams, because the 5 jobs I had before taught me through experience that, maybe I'm not cut out to have something good in my life. But I'm here to encourage you and tell you that you can have something good, that you will have something good, especially if you believe it. And someone actually shared with me earlier Deuteronomy 28, and I thought it was really, really, really good, because I encourage you to read the entire chapter. But in Deuteronomy 28, verse 3, it says, blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies to rise up against thee and be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses and in all that thou settest thine hand to do, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. And it continues in verse 9 to say, the Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways. So when I read that, I thought about the fact that you will be blessed regardless. Like it started in verse 3, you will be blessed in the city and blessed in the field. So regardless of what our experiences look like, the master's class tells us that we can be blessed regardless, whether we're coming or going, whether we're here or there. And now I'm about to sound like Dr. Seuss, but he can bless us anywhere. But ultimately, that's exactly what it's like, when we go through this thing called life. And so when you think about the disciplines that we're learning, realizing that we don't have to necessarily put ourselves in a box. And it's important for us to remember that, especially the things that we face now. There's so much uncertainty in the world. There's so many ups and downs. There's so many things that happen day to day where we might try to figure out, why is this happening to me? Why this? Why now? I say, why not now? There were things where I know it was nothing but God, meaning I would be in situations where I was like, why is this happening? And then I think back to where I am. And I realized that if it wasn't for the affliction, if it wasn't for the times when people told me no, if it wasn't for the times when people didn't believe in me, I wouldn't have believed in myself. And so I needed that. I needed to learn from that. That was my masterclass. My masterclass on waking up every day and starting fresh, starting over. Like Staples, they have an easy button. Life isn't easy, but again, we can wake up with hope in our hearts and believing that things will get better. We can walk in faith, trusting that no matter what it looks like, we can hope in something more. We can believe God for something more. We can believe that we will be blessed if we follow his commandments and his word. And so that leads me to another quote. Now, this quote is not from the Bible. It's from Nipsey Hussle, the late Nipsey Hussle. He's a rapper, but I forgot how I heard this particular clip or quote, but it really stood out to me. And it said, I think it was under when I typed in motivation on TikTok or Instagram or something, it came up. And I was like, what is this what is this song? I've never heard it, but I wanted to see what the message was, and it was really powerful. So Nipsey Hussle says, but what is a mistake without the lesson? See, the best teacher in life is your own experience. None of us know who we are until we fail. They say every man is defined by his reaction to any given situation. Well, who would you want to define you? Someone else or yourself? So when you think about masterclass, you think about learning, you think about what you do, why you do it. Every day is an opportunity for us to learn. We are learning, we are growing, we are shining, and we are knowing. Okay. We know who we are, we know whose we are, and we have to continue to have hope and faith and believe that just because I had that experience before, it doesn't mean I can't have a better experience today. And that's what I like to encourage myself to do. And I also like to encourage other people to just continue to have hope, to continue to believe in something more. Because as the late Nipsey Hussle said, what is a mistake without a lesson? And the best teacher of your master class is our own experience. But we also have a master who is the master of the universe, who also tells us that we can be blessed in any situation. Even when enemies rise up against us, they may come one way and they will flee seven. So today, I encourage you on this motivational Monday that you stay in the master class, the master's class. You continue to learn, you continue to grow, but you don't allow those experiences to stop you, whether good or bad. If they're good, keep going. If they're bad experiences, realize that trouble doesn't last always. The word reminds us that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So whenever your morning comes, be joyful and know that that trouble won't always be there, that that situation won't always look how it looks, that that job won't always be as difficult as it is, that those children will not be as troubled as they are, that you will be able to parent them and that you would be able to have them receive what you're trying to tell them. That sickness, that you will be healed, whether that's on this side or on the other side, but believing that God's word is true, that he would not put more on us than we can bear. And so he's teaching all of us and believing and hoping in his word and trusting that, we may not understand why certain things happen. We may not get it. And and personally, our family experienced yet another death, and also, just individuals very close to us, family, friends going through it right now, family going through it. It's a lot happening, and it's happening fast. But I have hope and trust in the word and what God says. I know that this is not our home. We're just passing through. But as we pass through this thing called life, may you remember that every experience is just that, an experience. It doesn't have to be a life sentence. So if it's good, keep it going. If it's not, let it flow. Because eventually, like the rivers or like the ocean, it's in and out. It ebbs and flows. There's going to be highs and lows. That's just the way life goes. Oh, wait a minute. I rhymed again. I like to rhyme sometimes, but seriously, that is exactly how life is. And I hope that on this Motivational Monday, that you remember that you are special, that you are valuable, and that whatever you're going through, you are not going to go through it forever. It's a season. So I like to say I am glowing through what I go through. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy. I have my moments, I cry, but then I dust myself off and I try again. So when things don't feel, that awesome, I do what I have to do. I keep on going. I keep showing up every day. That's half the battle, showing up. So I hope that you all will be blessed on this beautiful night, that you had a great day, and that you continue to keep on keeping on. But before we wrap up, remember to like, share, comment, because you never know who might be blessed by this show, who might be blessed by the testimonies or something simple that is said. You just never know what that could do for someone, regardless of what they may be facing. So, thank you for tuning in. And I hope that this blesses your soul. And I hope that you will allow it to touch someone else by sharing this message or some of the past episodes. So I hope that you all have a wonderful night. Again, be blessed and keep on keeping on. Until next time, see you later, Fit fans.